You throw the rifle diagonally across the body and catch it thus.
Sound off.
1, 2.
Sound off.
3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I know a guy, his name is Joe.
I know a guy, his name is Joe.
He's gonna tell us where to go.
He's gonna tell us where to go.
Sound off.
1, 2.
Sound off.
3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3,
3, 4.
We have the first speaker there, and then the second speaker, I think, is Mr. Harvey. Put a third speaker there, and I'll know what you mean, and you can use P for poor. 2 P's for pitifully poor. If you put 3 P's, I'll know what you mean.
I know a guy, his name is Jerry.
I know a guy whose name is Jerry.
He's got a head that isn't hairy.
He's got a head that isn't hairy.
Sound off.
1, 2,
Sound off.
3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I guess what I'd like to say is when one is recognized for their work, the most important thing to remember is that no one ever accomplishes anything themselves. It's really only through their efforts with other people. I've never done anything myself. It's only being involved and having someone else be involved in something happen. So whatever I have done or has been attributed to me really was due to the efforts of those people who are around me. And so really that honor goes to you. It isn't really my honor, it's yours. The other thing that I think that it's important to remember too, that we only are what our family and our friends allow us to be and help us become. It's only with their support and their care and their concern that we can do anything, because without that, we're a lost soul. And so I was really blessed by the Creator to have a family and friends that I do that have helped me feel a rich and rewarding life. And the Creator has truly blessed me with that.
Alice likes to sing and shout.
Alice likes to sing and shout.
She always wants to help us out.
She always wants to help us out.
Sound off.
1, 2,
Sound off.
3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm going to come out this year about orientation. I really like it. I do.
Mickey's Irish as can be.
Mickey's Irish as can be.
He likes to drink till 3:30.
Likes to drink till 3:30.
Sound off.
1, 2.
Sound off.
3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I keep thinking back to the first day I met Jerry, and I remember it. Dr. John Hunt had a graduate class at the University of Montana in the spring of 1976. And he invited this bushy-haired, tall guy down from the Flathead Reservation, who was a counselor, I think, at the time. And at the end of his presentation, he asked for questions. And so I raised my hand because I needed the bee. And I asked a pretty stupid question, and this tall, bushy-haired guy just chewed my ears off. I thought, geez, I'm just a graduate student. Give me a break, will you? So he goes home, and I every once in a while I think of my worst moment in graduate school, which was when Jerry chewed my ears off. And so 3 months later, I had a job interview up here with the Education Committee, and there were about 20 people in the Education Committee, and I recognized two. I recognized Gene Sorrell, who I had met a year earlier, and I recognized that tall, bushy-haired guy over there. Oh no, I said. I thought, oh geez, I'm going to get it again. And during the course of the interviews, it became clear that I wasn't his favorite candidate, and he was working real hard not to pick me. But wiser heads prevailed, Joe. And I got the job over the obvious objections of the tall, bushy-haired guy. That was the branch campus of Flathead Valley that eventually became SKC. And so I went to the first board meeting, and the first board of trustees came in. I introduced myself to all of them, and Oh no, that tall, bushy-haired guy. He was on the board of trustees. So he was really tough. He had lots of ideas and he wanted things done and he expected results. I mean, he was on me all the time. And the first year was kind of real rocky. In the second year, Joe couldn't get to a meeting in Washington, D.C., and he asked me to go, and he said, well, we'll send a board member with you. And I said, geez, I hope it's not that tall, bushy guy. So I get to the airport, I'm having a cup of coffee, and I drop it as I see the tall, bushy guy come in. So I had to sit in the smoking section of the plane, because he was on the board of directors, and I had to listen to him. We got back to D.C., and to make a long story short, under Jerry's guidance and leadership, I got thrown in the drunk tank. And he enjoyed a night at one of Washington's best hotels.
3, 4, hop, 2, 3, 4, hop, 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 2, 3, 4, hop, hop, hop.
The college was established by our tribal council to meet the needs of the tribe. Its culture was eroding very fast. The tribe was planning economic activities but didn't have the people power to carry it out. We had a lot of people that were going off the reservation to colleges, and they were dropping out at a very high rate. We started with in a storefront building, abandoned school building. We started with very little, but the college, due to the need and the response we've had from the tribe and tribes throughout the Northwest and the Southwest too, our college has grown very rapidly. We now reside on a 100-acre campus. We have 17 buildings. Our mission is to educate Indian students, and it's reflected in our institutional motto: education for young adults, leadership for adults, wisdom for our elders. The real story of SKC is written in the lives of our students, our faculty, and our alumni. So please listen to their stories.
I really enjoy going to school. I mean, it's hard to come back after a 25-year job, but coming here, everybody made me feel like at home, feel like I lived here all my life, and it's just been a good experience.
Not only am I getting hands-on training, but with the patients that we get are from Kicking Horse Job Corps, knowing them and getting to know them as patients. And so I've had a good experience here.
The first day I felt I was so nervous and just knew I would be sticking out like a sore thumb, but now I just feel comfortable going into any classroom, and if I have never had a problem with any teacher, so it's so relaxed here.
I think it's important for Native students to get involved in the sciences and everything, because there's not a whole lot of Native people working as scientists or professors, and I think it's important just to get the numbers up so that they have a voice in the science community.
The flexibility. I've had 3 kids being in college, so I've been here for many years, but I feel that SKC has allowed me that flexibility to raise a family and to pursue my career.
The instructors here, I mean, they have some kind of way to actually teach it to, like we have like a lot of young students and a lot of old students, and I mean, and it's a real mix in every class. So I mean, they have a way to relate it to the younger age and still get it across to the older age.
Well, at the college here, they have a lot of student activities, and everyone from the college, no matter if you're Native American, non-Native, everyone participates, and you get to know a lot of people. So with how many people you get to know here, like you know everyone in your class, you work well together. Well, after I graduate from here next year, I plan to come back and get my bachelor's degree. And I was thinking I wouldn't mind really working in the hospital for a few years, but I really want to be a school nurse. I know that sounds dorky, but I wouldn't mind being a school nurse and working with kids and maybe like teaching through that, I guess, because then I'd get my summers off too and I can powwow.
I'd like to get an associate's in general science and transfer to get a bachelor's in chemistry or biology and hopefully go to graduate school for biochemistry. Being able to take my science classes like chemistry and physics is nice, but being able to come in and work in the lab is even better because then I can apply what I learned hands-on.
It was really hard. It was really hard because I haven't been in school in a very long time. But then I'm an ovarian cancer survivor, and it kind of gave me a second time around. I figured that it's time I do something that I didn't want it to do, and that was come back to school and get some kind of degree. And so far, it's been good. It's been good.
I think it's really important that Native students get involved in this kind of work. It's a nice, friendly environment. And there's a lot of people to turn to if you need any help in any, whether it's in the laboratory and in the other classes.
One of the most rewarding aspects I've had working in the lab and doing research opportunities is taking the traditional ecological knowledge that Native Americans had and proving that Native Americans did know science even back in the day. They just couldn't prove it. And now we have the capabilities to actually prove that and go and say, this is why they drank this tea, this is why they ate this root when they were sick. We can prove what they knew back then, and it really helps bridge the gap as far as our past and our present.
I think first of all the institutional leadership and vision that's been provided, the stability over the years. I think the fact that we've consistently been led in a certain direction with a certain philosophy, and people are drawn to that, and the people that are here that have stayed over the course of time have been drawn to this place by that overall vision and leadership, and that to me is really evident when I come to work here every day. It's really obvious how much people care about this place, how much they care about students, and how much they want the college and college students to be successful.
When I think other institutions really do look at the individual player and the importance of advancement as individuals, where we look at this college, it seems that we support sort of the group or the community, and we value that advancement as a group or a community. And that certainly people may shine here individually, but what's more important, I think, and the supports are there for the entire group to shine. We have a great mission. The college has this beautiful mission, and if we could do it as an entire community as a whole, that's so much more valued and important than an individual trying to do it. It won't work.
One reason I stayed is because of the people and the commitment to the idea of a tribal college. I think it's just one of the best ideas to come down education's pipeline for a long time. And it really matters. And you know, everybody wants their career to really matter. And the second part is you know, whenever a job gets boring, it's time to move on. And I'm still not bored, because every day is a new day, every challenge is a new challenge, whether it's coming up with a way of supporting the college or coming up with a way of teaching something that students think they don't want to learn, but or can't learn.
Women are a substantial portion, maybe not substantial, but they're underrepresented in the construction industry as a whole, and generally run around 20 to 25% of our student body. And I'd just like to say that some of our most successful graduates have been Native American women. We've just had some wonderful success stories with single mothers who have been making minimum wage, working in a convenience store or as janitors, and go out and are able to land a trainee position on the highway, make a Davis-Bacon wage in the $20 to $25 an hour range, and it's just huge for some of these people. It's really wonderful.
SKC has touched many lives, and their 30 years history is a testament to their ability to stand the test of time and to continue to grow and provide those additional opportunities that young people need. And I think that's very important, and it's very good to be a part of this 30 years. Most of my adult life so far has been some way involved with Salish Kootenai College, and I congratulate them again, from Joe McDonald down to to the janitors and to every level. That people are here to serve and to care, and that shows. And I look forward to the future. 30 years behind us, but many more years to come.
Just the kind of people that work here are just, they want to be here, and you can tell they're committed to the work that they do. And that just, you can see it when you talk to them. The instructors that I've had have just been fantastic, and it's just been great for me. In fact, I just continuously keep taking classes.
One of the key things of SKC now is that the level of rigor is kind of been established, I think, by a lot of people early on, and that level of excellence proves itself out by the number of people who have a choice to go to any of the AHEC colleges but choose to come to SKC, because in reality the level of standard here was started early, and I think they've only done they've only taken steps to make that stronger, and I think that proves itself out. In the end, you have a lot of people who can transition to the University of Montana or Montana State and do really well, or any other four-year college or master's program and do really well.
We're starting our 31st academic year. In 1977, we started our first year, and we had classes throughout the reservation. We didn't have any buildings, and so we went to the schools and we asked for their facilities. And from being a high school principal at Ronan, we thought it was wise to hire teachers from those schools too. So if we used the home ec room at Arlee, we hired the home ec teacher. If we used the shop teacher at Mission, we hired the shop teacher, so we couldn't be blamed for things weren't in place the next day or whatnot. And so out at Hot Springs, we talked the math teacher there, a very outstanding math teacher, to teach college algebra at Hot Springs, and Mike Dawson was in the first class. He was a high school senior. He's in a bridge program, and that just started him on, and he went on and got a degree and got a law degree, and now he's a faculty person for us. So, but we did this throughout. Our central office we had at Polson. There was at the end of the football field, there was an old elementary school. I can't remember the name of it, and it wasn't being used. It was later torn down, and the new school is there now. And the superintendent there gave us an office and a couple of classrooms. Mike O'Donnell was our director, and Lorena Johnson was his secretary. She was employed by CETA. And so those were our first employees and our first college offerings. We thought at the end of the year, we started offering our classes in winter quarter of '77, and then we moved our office to a storefront in Ronan. We thought we'd get greater visibility, we'd have more action. So we rented it used to be a dental office, the telephone company has it now. Job Corps made us a nice big sign, Salish Kootenai College, affiliate of Flathead Valley Community College. All of our courses were accredited by Flathead Valley. And so we started offering there. We still didn't have facilities. We were still talking our way into Two Eagle River School and using any community facility that we could find and any of the schools that we could find. The tribal office complex was being moved from Dixon up to across the road here where we see it now. There was the law and order building, and then the main little building that we see next to the law and order was the tribal office. And so they were moving up here, and so we were in the storefront, and so we talked the tribe. There was where the lawyers are now over there, and some of the court proceedings in that law and order building. We talked it was an little empty room, about a third of the size of this room, about the size of the stage here, I guess, probably maybe a little bigger. We talked our way into there. And Doug Allard was the secretary. Barry Head was the chair, so it wasn't really a hard negotiation to get that free of charge with zero rent and utilities and custodial services. And Doug even had little office partitions made for us, so we were all petitioned off in that little office. And we'd use the tribal council chambers if they weren't using them. And then the jail had a nice little conference room. We'd use the jail conference room, and just like a college. When employees came, I remember the commissioner, higher ed commissioner, was a friend of mine, and he heard about us out here, and he sent a guy out here to find out what the hell was going on out there. The guy comes into town, Bill Cunene, and he walks into the Ronan State Bank and asks about the college. Well, they hadn't heard about a college. And so he came on up, and I showed him around, showed him our little office, and took him over and showed the tribal council chamber, and I walked all through that. And he seemed satisfied with that. The jail had a cook, and we could eat there for $1. So we had our own food service. We'd go over there, we use the conference room, and we were really doing well. When a visitor would come, we'd tour them all through there. Well, Ronan, in the meantime, was building a new school, the K. William Harvey Elementary School, and they moved out of the old elementary that stands now where they're building that beautiful auditorium and the gymnasium. There was an old building that had a daylight basement and a first floor and a second floor. And so I met with the school board and talked our way in letting us have the top floor of that building. And I think there's one large room, we called it, was an open space classroom for the Ronan schools. And then there were about 3 or 4 small classrooms and then 2 little offices. So that really served us well. We moved our way into the top floor of the building, and much of our college was there. Alice, the director of student services, she was in one little room, classroom, and Bob Biggert was our librarian, and he had the library in that same room. Alice said Bob would steal space from her at night. He had moved her. And Bob would come up from Missoula with his sleeping bag, and he'd sleep there. And remember when the accreditation team came, and they were giving the report to the chair, and the fellow said, "And he even sleeps there." I never saw such committed people that they even slept there. We got the carpentry shop, and that was really one of our very first buildings. And following that, we got the Charlotte building. It was a community facilities building. And so when we had our candidacy visit, we were still in the building there at all of our classes were taught there, and we had these 2 buildings up here at Carpentry Shop and the Charlotte building. But they liked what they saw, and they gave us accreditation, initial accreditation, or candidacy it was called. And then in 2 years they came back, and when they came back we had built the Matthias building, and we had a little bookstore, and so things are really moving along. And this past year has been a very rewarding year. The college has had a great staff. We've had a wonderful faculty. We've had a good administrative team. And this last spring we graduated our largest graduating class. We graduated our first baccalaureate class in forestry, which is really an appropriate field. And we're the only tribe in the United States that's offering a BS in forestry. We'll soon have our own graduating classes in elementary education. And we'll also have our first graduating classes in computer engineering. And we've all watched from the highway the Health and Recreation Center that's going up very majestically. And we hear more about from people in the community, to old coaches and jocks. It's really majestic and inspiring. But it really is a wonderful facility. If you go over here on the east end of the campus, behind those storage containers and that big pile of dirt, is a nice dormitory that's coming along. A 40-room singles dormitory, state-of-the-art dormitory. It takes a second to know any dormitory in the nation. East of the Louis Kayi building, construction has started and the foundation is going in. The site development is taking place now for the information technology building. And we'll begin to see that come up this fall and this winter. If you go out near the Health and Recreation Center, you see the building that's going up there, and that's an auditorium. And it's going to seat 220 people. It'll be completed. It'll be a turnkey construction with everything in it. We could have gone bigger if we would want to borrow money, but we're borrowing money for the gymnasium, Health Recreation Center, and we didn't want to do that. So we cut it to 220. So we'll be able to have a meeting like this. So this will probably be a historic meeting here this year, because we probably won't do this again. We'll be doing it over in the auditorium next year. So that construction is going on. This quarter, we look forward to Oceanie Agnes Kenmill teaching hide tanning in a real cultural way. She has the longest tenure of any of our faculty, and we're grateful for her. And I'm not sure, Cleo, is she 92 or 93? 93. She's 91. She's 93.
Do you have a favorite place in this area where you used to go and just have fond memories of?
We don't have no place to go now. We used to go to Diamond Horseshoe, but we don't anymore. That was our favorite place. 60 years ago.
44 bar.
Oh, I'm telling the truth. I'm not lying either.
Well, I came to SKC in 1979, December 4th, 1979 was my first day on the job. And my office was a cubicle at the top of the old Ronan Middle School. And my first impression when I walked in the door was there was this big classroom divided up by partitions, and there were all these people working, and I was really excited because my first thought was, these people are really excited to be here. And it was like administration and staff and faculty were all in this one room, and we were all about starting this wonderful new college. A friend of mine who came up with me sort of referred to it as a fruit bowl of mixed fruit, all really exciting, but all just a little bit not what you would expect to find in a traditional institution, let's put it that way. Okay, we were all crazy. Well, I was a little nervous at first because I interviewed over the telephone. I didn't know what I was getting into. And I was afraid I was going to be the only hippie chick here, Suyapi hippie chick, no less. And no, I didn't feel too far out of place.
I truly believe SKC has a tremendous value to the community on the reservation here, both for our tribal and non-tribal members that live here in the valley, just because of the service and the opportunities that are here for tribal and non-tribal folks to better themselves, to have an opportunity to stay home and to get that higher education that is so important today. For me, SKC, had that environment that was so inviting. It was, it doesn't take long when you're here as a student to to realize this is a big family, you know, and that makes the learning environment a lot easier. At least it did for me.
It's the point at where you've gone through all of the growing up stages, and from here on it's time to start really making a difference. The pressure is on to be better and better and better, and it's I just can imagine what it would be like to be able to say that, like Harvard, well, we've been here 600 years now. Can you imagine?
Some of you may be wondering where SKC. Obviously, these prospective students are having a hard time finding SKC. Ever wonder what direction you're headed? Obviously, these three young ladies aren't sure where they're going. Apparently, they're looking for some place. They're trying to signal down a motorist, but no one's willing to stop for them. Well, perhaps we have someone now. Got someone stopped. I wonder what they're looking for. Well, apparently this person doesn't seem to know where they're headed either. Well, here they come. Maybe we'll be able to ask them in a minute. Something. What is it that they're pointing to? Let's take a look and see. Evans! Who is that? What is... Well, folks, it looks like this is it. For those of you that have been looking for the Salish Kootenai Community College, currently known as the Salish Kootenai College, we have this fine young lady here to tell us where it's located. Right next to the speed limit 10 sign. For some of you who aren't familiar with this area, you might know it better by the mile marker 52 sign. It's located in the town of Pablo, Montana, which is easily spotted by its water tower. Some people confuse the tribal complex with the college complex. We'll move on now and show you the Salish Kootenai College complex.
That's not it. This is, what did they say this was? This was a housing. Oh, yeah.
Well, that was an SKC.
Okay. 2 words out. Okay, come here.
Hey lady, you want to be in a film?
Sure. Are you ready?
I gotcha. It's rolling.
Can you tell us where the college is? I mean, Salish College. I mean, we went there, and like that's not it. Like, do you know where it is? Like, we're going to be new students and everything. I'm going to be a science major. Oh, God, thanks. Hey, you're all day to get here. We had to hitchhike all the way down.
Well, folks, it looks like another chapter in the never-ending saga of SKC. Let's follow them inside and see.
Vice President Jerry Slater, he might be able to help you with some of the programs you might be Oh, like, interested hi, in. Jerry. I mean, geez.
Like, hi yourself. Like, Jerry.
That's cool.
Hey, I mean, like, you don't come out from behind your light, man.
President
friend, Joe McDonald.
Oh, hi.
Going to meet
Geez,
you.
got nice glasses.
Thank
Like,
you,
this
sir.
is really cool. I mean, I heard you were running for legislature, and I mean, God, and you're the college president?
Gee willikers, how about a pin for you?
Oh, thanks. Wow.
New students, we pin them right on.
Oh, thanks. Well, this is just really going to be a good educational experience.
And I have a ticket here, just $10. Would you like one
Oh,
for the
my
family? That'd be $30.
Well, thanks.
Nice some more students here, sir.
Well, I'm sorry, we've got to move on. Shall we follow one in and see what the facilities are like?
Yes, go get this one. No.
Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We have an interview from another one of the SKC faculty members. Could you tell us a little bit about this facility? A little bit about this facility.
No, go up. Just real slow with the. Okay. Can you see her?
Oh, my God. What are you doing in here?
Well, we're on a tour of SKC. We found that many people are interested in the things we do here.
And do what? Show it. Oh, goodness, that's not one of those A words. new drinking fountain. What do you think? How do we drink out of this? I think this is for my man. I think this is
Okay, here we are in the SKC library.
Make a comment about.
You're rolling. Wow, notice the enthusiasm that the students have for checking out books.
My God.
We also encourage them to take weight training.
Well, you really stacked those up.
Well, you could say that right now she is very well stacked.
Impossible.
Uh-huh.
This is impossible. There's got to be somebody here that knows where stuff is at.
We have a picture of SKC's librarian, Bob Bickert. Bob is always busy. Notice even at this time he's working very hard. Moving along now, we can see the students are progressing over to SKC's science building.
All right, class, last time we were together and over the past 3 weeks we've been covering marketing, salesmanship. What do we need to remember when we're making a presentation? Audience to be reached. Everybody together.
Type of media to be
Media
used.
to be used.